Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I have the next roll guide for you guys, and this one is the collector, and it's the ultimate collector guide. And in this guide, I will be showing you guys the basics of the collector. I have recently hit level 20, and when I hit level 20, I told you guys that I would make this guide. Now I'm going to be telling you guys what to do and what not to do with the collector. So now anyways, let's get started. Now with the collector, you unlock the collector license by talking to Madame Nazar and paying 15 gold bars for it. If you are a GTA Online player and you actually found all 52 cards in that game, the collector's license will be free, so you won't have to pay the 15 gold, so you might want to keep that in mind. And if you did not actually get it for free, if you still found all the cards but it's not for free, I would send Rockstar a support ticket. I'm sure they would compensate you, because I know a lot of people have been having an issue where they find all the cards in GTA Online, but the collector's license, they still gotta pay for it. But anyways, let's get started talking about this role into detail. Now, the first 9 ranks of the collector can be absolutely brutal. Now, when you first start out with the collector, you're going to notice it's pretty challenging and it's pretty brutal, all the way up to level 9, but once you get past level 9, it's actually going to be much easier. So, at level 3, basically you learn how to detect when near collectibles, and I noticed that before you unlock this ability, you can still detect collectibles near you, but the signal is a lot weaker, and basically what happens is your controller will vibrate, and the more that it vibrates, the closer that you are to that collectible. And at level 7, you will actually learn how to detect disturbed earth. And disturbed earth is basically anything that's underground. So if you're looking for something that's buried, you will be able to find that with disturbed earth. Basically, if you take out the refined binoculars or you activate Eagle Eye, there will be glowing yellow symbol above it. It'll be pretty noticeable. But before that, you can still find that item, but you will not see the glowing yellow thing above it. And at night, it can be actually pretty difficult to find these dirt mounds. There's a second type of dirt mound, which is more underground with metal detectors, but I'm going to talk about that a little later. Now, at level 9, you basically learn how to narrow your search area. And this one will help you the most, because the search area actually becomes a lot smaller. So you'll notice the yellow marker for the search area becomes a lot smaller when you unlock at level 9. That will help you greatly. So the first thing that you want to get with Madame Nazar, when you talk to her, buy the shovel. Now the shovel might seem pretty expensive early on, but you're going to get your money back. And make sure to buy all the maps that she has. So all the maps that she has, stock up on those maps, get them all, any that you can carry, get them. And then go out in the world and start looking for stuff, trying to level up the collector. Now again, like I said, the first 9 levels are going to be pretty difficult, but right after that, it's going to be a lot easier when you level up. And if you have a friend that's already high level with the collector, have them tell you where items are. If they open up their maps, they go to that location, follow them. Because oftentimes you can share items. I've found that most of the time, if your friend finds something and tells you to come over there, you can take that item. You can take it, as long as it's not completely underground. If you don't have the metal detector, you can't get the item, even if your friend tells you exactly where it is. But most items you can share, and both of you can actually find it. And I've had it happen where my friend finds something, tells me, I go over and I take it. And then if I find something, I tell my friend, they come on over and take it. And this will actually help you level up pretty quickly early on, so make sure to really take advantage of it. Once you hit level 5 with the collector, go right back to Madame Nazar and pick up the metal detector. Now, the metal detector is going to be your best friend, and it's going to be really expensive, $700, but it's extremely helpful, very, very helpful. And the problem with a lot of people playing the collector is people seem to have this idea that you need maps in order to find items. You don't necessarily need maps, because like I told you earlier, your friend can also tell you where items are, and you can tell your friend where items are, but if you have the maps, you can know where a lot of the items are, the general area, but you can also find items in the world. If you just happen to stumble upon an area where there's a collectible, your controller will vibrate, you could see it possibly with Eagle Eye, and most importantly, the metal detector. The metal detector is the best item to use to find random items across the world. Now, what I personally recommend is to ride around in the world with the metal detector in your hand. And as long as you're not in a gun battle, if you're not in a gun battle, then have the metal detector on you at all times. If you're traveling between towns, you're traveling through the countryside, have the metal detector out. Because I've been riding between towns so many times, and the metal detector has a lot of range. And you'll be riding, and you'll just start hearing the metal detector beep. And the more that it beeps, the closer that you are going to be to the item. And when you're right on top of the item, it's going to be beeping like crazy, and then you're going to hear this static electric sound, and then it will give you a prompt to dig. So use the metal detector as much as you can. Have it out at all times. The only time I don't recommend having metal detector out is when you're in a gun battle. If you're getting chased by people and stuff like that, have a gun out on you. But if you're just riding around the world, riding between towns, riding through the countryside, always have the metal detector out, because it'll help you get a lot of items. When you first start collecting, it's like I said, it's going to be pretty difficult, but it's good to get a general idea of where each type of collectible would be. Now, for instance, like tarot cards I found are the easiest collectible to find because there's just so many of them, and tarot cards are almost always in a building or they're on some kind of surface like a table. They're not really going to be on the ground in the wild. So if you're looking for tarot cards, then look for some kind of building, look for some kind of surface that it can be in. It's not going to be like on the ground or really going to be in a tree. It's going to be some kind of structure. And that's what I've done is whenever I see any kind of building I can enter, I go in that building because chances are there's going to be some kind of collectible in there. And I found so many collectibles. Most of the tarot cards that I found aren't even from the maps. They're actually from random buildings that I searched and I found them in. Now, alcohol bottles, those are pretty much going to be in a building or going to be on some kind of surface also, not really going to be on the ground in the wild. Now, arrowheads, these are almost always going to be buried underground, not going to be detectable metal detector. They're going to be those above dirt ground mounds. So if you see, if you have an arrowhead that you're looking for, make sure to keep an eye on the ground because it's going to be underground somewhere. Now for lost jewelry, this can be a little tricky one because sometimes it can be underground and sometimes it could not. Sometimes it could actually be in a chest hidden somewhere. So you want to keep that in mind. I haven't really found them in a building, but I found them pretty much around underground and in some kind of chest like hidden behind a rock or a tree. And flowers are pretty easy, gonna be on the ground in the wild. Look around for them. Sometimes this can be a little tricky because there's just so many herbs in the area and those can kind of mess you up when you're trying to find the flower, but the right flower will always have the little yellow symbol above it. And also, bird eggs, now these can be a little complicated sometimes, mostly easy, but they can get a little complicated early on, especially if you don't know where they are. Sometimes they'll actually be right on the ground, but other times they can actually be up in a tree, and this is where the refined binoculars come in. Now, the refined binoculars, basically they are long-range eagle eye, so they have the same effects as eagle eye, just long range, but I found that I don't need them most of the time because my eagle eye is just as good, and I can see items from a distance. Now, you can see this from the tree up here, so I didn't really need the binoculars. Binoculars I actually find pretty useful for bounty hunting. Now, bounty hunting, you can actually see the bounty target. So in those missions where you don't know where the bounty target is exactly, you can actually zoom in and the bounty target will actually be marked red. Now, as for the items that are up in the tree, like the bird egg right here, you would have to take a small rifle like the varmint rifle. I personally recommend don't use stronger rifles because you could actually destroy the egg. But shoot the nest, and then the nest should drop an egg, and just pick up the egg, and then there you go. As for coins, they are pretty much always going to be underground, so if you're looking for coins, have your metal detector out, and have your metal detector out anyways, because you're going to be looking for items in that area, and you might, get a buzz off with the metal detector, and you might find a second item nearby that area, and the coins come in sets of 15. Now, the question is, should you sell individually, or should you sell in sets? I personally recommend selling in sets, because you get more money, and you get a ton of XP. However, though, you're probably not going to level up the collector with this, because by the time I actually completed my first set, it was 12 arrowheads. I was already level 20 with the collector. I still got 1500 XP and I got a decent amount of money, so that was definitely good. But still, look for the sets. It's more worth it. And also, you're probably going to get the same item maybe 3, 4, 5 times. A bunch of times you're going to get the same item, which might get a little frustrating. The items, they apparently change every real-life day, so about 8 p.m. Eastern US time, the items actually change locations. And GTA series has actually made a bunch of guides on this. I will link their channel down below. They have a pretty good guide on location of a lot of different items, so check them out. Now here we're at the end, and the best tip that I found for the collector, once you hit level 9, and don't do this until you hit level 9 because it's actually going to be pretty hard. Early on, you just want to open up a single map and just try to find that item, but later on, you want to open all your maps at once. And I know what people are going to say in the comments, they're going to say, but I can only have one map open at a time. Yes and no. When you open up a map, you will see 3 locations. You'll see 3 yellow locations. And when you open up a second map, it'll actually cancel out that first map, and you'll see 3 other locations. Now, this is a warning. When you open up a second map, it will delete the first map. Now, that location, those items do not get deleted. Those items are still there, just the map gets deleted. So what you can do is go to each location on the map, open up your first map, buy a collection of maps from Madame Nazar. Then open up your first map, and what you're going to be doing right here is go to those 3 yellow locations on the map and just mark them with legends. On the PS4, it's L3, and I'm guessing on the Xbox, it will be the left stick. And you can't mark the area right on top of the map. You can't mark in the middle, it won't let you. So what I recommend doing is zoom in on the map just so you can mark as close to the center as possible, and mark as close to the center as you can. Mark 3 locations, and then what you do right after that is open up the second map and mark 3 locations again, and then open up the third map, mark 3 locations again, and then the fourth map. Now, you can only have 12 legends at a time, so that's 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 locations that you can mark. So that would be 4 maps. So the first 4 maps that you get, mark those locations. And this is really good because you can travel in between those areas, because chances are when you open up one map, the locations are going to be pretty far from each other. But when you open up 4 maps, they're going to be all over the map, and you can just go from this location, and the next location will be pretty close to you. And as you're traveling in between those areas, have the metal detector out. I do that a lot, and I've been stocking up on these collectibles. I've been getting them a lot, which also brings me to the free mode event. Now, if you ever have this free mode event spawn, salvage, make sure that you do the free mode event. Make sure you do it, because this free mode event, this will actually help you get a lot of collectibles. You can get a decent amount of collectibles if you know what you're doing. Now, I noticed that most of the time, this actually spawns near the area near Van Horn, and what you're going to be doing is go up the river right here, and when you go up the river, there's going to be a ton of collectibles. Look for them. Use Eagle Eye, because when you have the collector upgraded, this is going to help you out a lot. Now, a lot of people, they seem to have this idea that the collectibles are only going to be in the yellow area on salvage. Most of them are, but some other rare collectibles are also going to be outside the area. But be very careful, because you only have 1 life in this mode. If you die, that's it. But if you ever see this mode salvage, do it. It is a really good free mode event and a very good way to stock up on collectibles. And a few final tips with the collector. The first tip, like I said, some things are going to be in plain sight, some things are going to be pretty obvious to find, but other things can be more complicated. Now, you take a look at this right here, I actually found one item inside a chimney. I was actually looking all over the house, and then I actually realized that it was inside the chimney. Other items might be in a cabinet, sometimes the item might be like in a tree, but to find this tree, it's actually pretty easy. If you see like a bunch of trees all with leaves, and then you see one tree with no leaves on it, chances are it's probably going to be in that tree. And some areas, they might even be inside caves, so if you're like looking around like crazy for an item, you can't find it, and you're thinking to yourself, where could this possibly be? It's probably going to be inside some kind of cave like this right here. And when you are actually opening up these maps and you're marking the markers like I showed you guys earlier, be very careful, because sometimes one map will actually be in a very similar map as the other location. So 2 locations might actually be right next to each other, and then you actually might mark it only 1 time instead of 2 times. Make sure you keep an eye on your map, because what happened was I actually marked 11 markers, and I was kind of confused. I was like, what? I should have had 12 markers. And then I went back through the video, I was actually looking, and I actually saw there was actually 1 location. There was 1 location where there was 2 items in the same general vicinity. So make sure to keep that in mind. And finally, be careful with miscellaneous maps. Now, miscellaneous maps, they can mess you up. You should still buy them from Madame Nazar. And like I was saying earlier, when you make all those markers and all the different maps, do not put the markers on the miscellaneous maps in that. And the reason you don't want to do that is because miscellaneous maps, it's basically 3 random items. It could be anything. And what I've noticed is that sometimes when I've opened miscellaneous maps, they've actually taken me to the exact same location that I had on certain maps. So I pretty much wasted my money. So what I recommend doing is, when you have a miscellaneous map, open that first and get it out of the way before you open up the other maps, or open it last and get out of the way when you did all the other maps. Do not open it in the middle, because then it might take you to the same location twice, and you won't get it anything else. You only get it 1 time, and you'll waste your money there. But that's pretty much it for the collector guide. I hope that this has helped people out. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, want to know how to do anything, if I missed anything else, let me know. I think I covered it pretty well there. I'll try to reply to as many people as I can and help out as many people in the comments. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, and if you're new to my channel, enjoy my content, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.